All right, guys. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well today. This is the NBA Tournament Strategy Show, where we will do a quick look back at yesterday, see what went well, see what didn't go as well, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper into this slate, do a quick walkthrough, talk through guys that we like, guys we want to dig a little bit deeper into, and go from there. And then later today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll do the pre-lock show, which is where we will work on the implementation of what we're actually doing on that slate, who we're going to get leverage on, who we're not going to have leverage on, who we're going to try to fade, and go from there. So yeah, excited to dig into this with you guys. Michael, oh, that's awesome. Hi, I'm new to DFS Army. Nice to have you, man. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Feel free to message me in Discord at any time. I can point you in the right direction if you're looking for specific help for like a coach that you want to work with, things of that sort. Can definitely give you some feedback. But this was the $100,000 winning lineup last night. Last night was pretty meh for me. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't bad. My core plays were not fantastic. Let's see. I know I had Kawhi on there. That didn't work out. Gary Trent Jr. did not work out. Bam Adebayo was not great. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he was meh, but he made the Nuts lineup. And then Charles Bassey was not great either. The thing that helped carry me, though, were the leverage plays. I had a lot of Fred VanVleet. I had a lot of Julius Randle. Halliburton wasn't as great, but he helped carry some lines too. So for me, it wasn't anything special. But we did have some Scotty Barnes exposure, which was nice. Fred VanVleet was the leverage play, which was nice. Jokic was the missing piece. I did mention on the show yesterday that I was between him and someone else for probably my favorite stud pay up of the slate, but ultimately I didn't have a lot of Jokic exposure myself. So between Jokic, Davis, and Fultz, not having a ton of exposure to those three, we're going to really lessen my odds of having a winning lineup. Alex, man, the Spurs keep getting me. Three slates ago, or maybe it was four, they actually came through for us. And then every other time besides that, they hurt our feelings. It's just really one of those things. And yeah, Trent it's sad because he's helped me win a lot of money over the years, but over the last few games, like I'm starting to build up a grudge, but I'm trying to, stay professional. All right, guys, let's dig into this slate. I think it should be a fun one. It's a nice 4-gamer, so that should keep things pretty interesting. Starting off with this Milwaukee Bucks against the Memphis Grizzlies. From an injury news standpoint, we already have the vast majority of it for this game, which is nice. We have John Morant. Looks like he's not on the injury report, so he should play. Steven Adams, similar story. Looks like he should play. Vince Williams is questionable. Bane and Green are still out. So nothing too crazy there for them. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Drew Holiday is still out, which is huge. Marjon Beauchamp is probable, and then Ingles is still out. So Giannis has somehow had a 50.7% usage rate with Drew Holiday out. Freaking wild. And that really is why you're going to see a ton of exposure on Giannis today. That's why I'm going to have plenty of exposure to Giannis. This game is one of the higher total games on the slate. Should be a fun game to watch as well. I mean, you can fade Giannis if you want to. I mean, I guess the price tag is a good argument for it. Like, he has to really overperform here. But this is a nice pace-up spot for both teams, and I'm excited to have a ton of exposure here. John Morant, I don't love playing guys against the Bucks. You guys know that. So like John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm a little bit more on the fence for. I'm not sure if I really want to have a ton of exposure to them on this slate. But Jaren Jackson Jr. at 4% ownership is interesting to me. He has really lowered his foul trouble here recently, so I'm not as concerned about that, but that's something that's still in the back of my head. It's like JJJ loves to get in foul trouble. He's going to be facing off against Giannis. Seems like a pretty easy spot for foul trouble. But if he's going to be super low owned, then I'm okay with it. Chris Middleton's going to pop for us today on this slate with Drew Holiday out, and I am totally fine eating that chalk once again. Like we mentioned a few slates ago, Bobby Portis saw a nice increase in minutes with Drew Holiday out. We're not getting him at an extreme discount at 6,200, but he's still definitely GPP viable, especially on this small slate. A similar story of like Brooke Lopez, Steven Adams. I think they're definitely viable and interesting in these spots too. The Javion Carter chalk freaking bombed on Monday. I'm thinking it's Monday. I'm getting all my days mixed up, guys, so bear with me. It could have been any day this week. But you guys remember playing Carter this week. He was a core play for me. He did absolutely nothing. He's a low usage guy, but he should play plenty of minutes, which means he's someone that I will have exposure to. With Drew Holiday out. And then we have some of our lineup filler guys like Connaughton and Brooks, who I doubt I'll be trying to get leverage on, but I'll probably have some exposure naturally thanks to the domination station. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see on the pre-lock show, but the way my brain's working right now, that's going to be the way things look. Ed B said, I'm trying to take this turning down on my birthday. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, man. And hopefully you take it down. Let's do it. Let's do it. How to tackle a 4-game slate. Michael, on the pre-lock show, I will show you exactly what I'm doing on this slate, my settings, exactly who I'm increasing exposure to and decreasing exposure to. Also, you can message me on Discord and we can talk about it in a bit more detail. But in general, I don't treat any slate extremely differently, to be honest with you. I used to. I used to think it mattered. Like on a 3-game slate, I want to have a different philosophy than like a 12-game slate. But I don't anymore. I don't. All right, guys. Now this game is one. This Miami Heat against the Houston Rockets game is one that's going to have a lot of injury news that we need to keep an eye on. Miami Heat, they played last night. For those of you that remember, Bam Adebayo kind of hurt our feelings a good bit. But as of right now, we have Bam Adebayo to be determined. He's TBD. He might not play tonight since this is a back-to-back. This could be a rest spot for him, dealing with some soreness. Kyle Lowry is also TBD. Rest, back-to-back. Victor Oladipo, also TBD. Gabe Vincent, TBD. And really, if we're being honest, we know the Miami Heat, they can add more guys later today that might randomly be questionable off of a back-to-back. They do that very often, so don't be shocked if like we see a Max Strus or Caleb Martin or Tyler Hero randomly questionable later today too. The good news about this game though is that we will have this information by lock, so there's no surprises, no craziness, nothing that we have to really be stressing ourselves out over. So a pretty good spot for us to just kind of keep a pulse on. Hey, if Bam and Lowry are really out, then we really want to make sure we're getting some exposure to Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, the starters. So it's not rocket science, but it's definitely a spot that we want to watch like a hawk. Outside of that, I'm not really super interested in the other pieces in this game. Also, the Miami Heat, they're facing off against the Houston Rockets. So golden matchup. On the Rockets side of things, they're pretty healthy right now. Tate is the only guy out, which means that for the most part, I'm not as interested in this team when everyone is healthy. As of right now, it looks like they're going to be pretty popular. I'm not going to fade them, but I don't foresee any of these guys being core plays or leverage plays for me. Just guys that are going to be more lineup fillers. We've seen Jalen Green be extraordinarily good as of late. And we've been on it sometimes we haven't. So he's definitely someone that I'm going to want to keep an eye on, though, even in a tough matchup. All right, guys, 2 more games left. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pelicans at the Utah Jazz. These are 2 teams that I typically don't love playing guys against, but the Pelicans still have Brandon Ingram out and Jose Alvarado is out, which should allow a nice floor for CJ McCollum minutes-wise. Not that we ever really worry about that for him, but a little bit more security for him. And potentially even for Devontae Graham with Jose Alvarado out. But it wouldn't shock me if they prefer to go big and just play better defensively, which is Graham's weakness. The Utah Jazz have actually allowed opponents to score the 3rd most fast break points in the league, and they have the lowest defensive rebounding rate this season. But with that being said, on Tuesday, the Jazz were a fantastic defensive rebounding team, kind of out of nowhere, and they limited the Pelicans to only 10 transition points. So once again, we're kind of dealing with long-term data versus short-term data. For me, I typically like to side with long-term data. Kangar's saying, keep Joe Val away. Hey, Joe Val has yet to be a core play for me. So that's the one thing I have going for me. I get a lot of things wrong. I get some things right, but Joe Val has not been a core play for me yet. But I'll probably have some Joe Val exposure, to be honest with you, Kanger. Kind of for the same reason, the Utah Jazz have been really bad against big men so far this season. We got the Zion call right earlier this week, I believe. I don't hate going back there. It's just the price tag is getting tougher and tougher. But ideally on this short slate, we should have exposure naturally. Ideally, I don't have to tinker with it too much. And then Trey Murphy is a guy who has just been getting better and better and better. His price tag is moving up, but hopefully I'll have some exposure to him as well. Am I missing anyone? I don't believe so. CJ McCollum, I feel like I didn't have to talk about just because he's kind of like the rest of these guys. I plan on probably at least being close to field weight on him. The Utah Jazz are less exciting for me. Colin Sexton is out still. So guys like Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley are more viable for me than some of the other pieces on this team. But at least as of right now, no one's popping for me too hard. All right, guys. Now, the last game of this slate is probably one of the more important games that we might not get the news for. As of right now, Devin Booker is questionable. DeAndre Ayton is questionable. Cam Payne is out. Washington Jr. is out. Johnson's out. Booker and Ayton being questionable is huge news on this slate. Chris Paul's price tag has jumped up to 8,200. So he's not going to be the value play that we would like for him to be with Booker out if he ends up being out, but he's definitely still going to be viable even at that price tag. He's going to have next to no ownership on a 4-game slate. Definitely interesting. Alex, you're right. Null has been doing very, very, very well as of late, and I've been overlooking him a little bit. He's a guy that I'm definitely going to want to dig a little bit deeper into and see if this is a spot where I do get a little bit of exposure because I've been ignoring him a good bit lately. So yeah, like Devin Booker and Ayton, if they end up being out, then Chris Paul, McCall Bridges, Torrey Craig, Lee Shamet really are the main guys that I would want to force exposure to. I am still trying to strategize my actual plan for what I'm going to do on this slate. But if we don't get the Booker and Ayton news, I'll definitely try to I'll try to spread my exposure out to guys like McCall Bridges, Torrey Craig, just to kind of have some early leverage on those situations. Like that's where I'm leaning towards, and Chris Paul, like trying to get a little bit of leverage on those spots, hoping Booker and Ayton are out. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the news and see if we really think Booker and Ayton are going to be out before I kind of take that risk, but that's something that I'm debating doing right now, and I'm pretty close to kind of wanting to lock in. On the Clippers side of things, looks like Kawhi Leonard should be out. He's unlikely to play. Avika Zubac is TBD. Luke Kennard is unlikely to play. The thing with the Clippers, too, is that this is a back-to-back for them, which is why we're expecting Kawhi Leonard to not play, which is why we're expecting John Wall to play since he didn't play yesterday. This is really big for Paul George. The matchup isn't great against the Suns, but it's a 4-game slate, so that really just allows Paul George to be more interesting with the usage increase. But John Wall coming back is kind of neutral because John Wall also uses a ton of usage. So I'm interested in Paul George, but he's not as exciting of a play for me as he would be if John Wall wasn't playing. Marcus Morris, of course, is more viable with Kawhi out as well. That helps him. But for sure, this game just in general is going to be very, very, very interesting, along with this Bucks and Memphis game, and I want some pieces from the middle too. So definitely a lot of strategy that we're going to be able to dig deeper into on the pre-lock show. So I appreciate everyone for watching right now. Hope you guys are able to check out the pre-lock show. For those of you that don't know, that is for only VIP members, and you can only become a VIP member by clicking the link in the description and using the promo code BOB to save 10% off of that VIP membership. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support and helping the channel grow. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. But yeah, look forward to seeing you guys for the pre-lock show, and let's take some tournaments down tonight. Let's do it. Peace.